August 21st. Great to see you all here. Thanks for being here as well as joining us online this evening. We have Alderperson Perkins and Hanson joining us online. So good to have you here. If we could start with the roll call, please, Ms. Farren.
Anderson,
Here.
Appenfelt,
Here.
Burnett,
Here.
Burnett,
Here.
Marie, Fisher.
Yep.
Hanson. Hanson,
He's muted.
Here.
Okay.
Keel,
Here.
Mark,
Here.
Olson,
Present.
Perkins,
Here.
Wassell,
Present.
Yuds,
Here.
Stop.
Here.
Thank you. Please let the record show that Alderperson Furry is absent and excused. Agenda item number 2 is time for our Pledge of Allegiance. Please follow me with the pledge in a moment for silent deliberation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good. Moving on to agenda item number 3 is time for our informal public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to speak to council this evening in the audience here or online? We'll have you come forward right to the microphone there, please. Yes, good evening. If you could take the microphone and hold it kind of close to your mouth and then state your name and address before you talk.
Most of you, or at least half of you know me. I'm Mary Vogel-Rauscher. I live at 208 Starkweather Drive in Beaver Dam. I'm here to take just 2 minutes of your time and get out of here because I know you've got a lot that you want to take care of. I want to publicly thank the city for their help. What I'm here to talk to you about tonight is Best Dam Fest for 2 minutes. But I particularly want to thank 2 people that are sitting in the audience that work with us. Both of the chiefs are here and they did an outstanding job. John came and regularly would talk to us. We have never had a problem with any part of the things that I've been in on, and he regularly comes and talks to us. But we couldn't be able to do what we did without their help. So we want to officially, publicly thank them for the efforts and for what they did to make this event a success. The reason I'm here tonight is I wanted to talk to you before you did your budget, because if after you do your budget, we talk to you, it's too late. So we wanted to try and talk to you first. And I wanted to explain a couple things for you. A lot has changed from Lake Days to Best Dam Fest to now. And one of the biggest changes we had this year, based on our legal advice, was that we had to separate Best Dam Fest into 2 groups. The reason we had to separate Best Dam Fest into 2 groups was if we did not, our not-for-profit status was in jeopardy because solicitations went out with both groups and we could not commingle funds, or we had the potential of losing our not-for-profit status. So what I work with, my partner in crime, Michelle, worked with is the not-for-profit status. The not-for-profit status was the part that took place at Tahoe Park. Because we split into 2 groups, our donations were down over $10,000. We had a lot of confusion with the sponsors because they didn't understand that there was a difference. But the biggest challenge we've had since we've gone from Lake Days to Best Dam Fest to what we're doing now is we don't have a gate to charge admission at. The reason they were able to make significantly more money than what we currently do is because anybody can walk onto the grounds at any time and take part, because there isn't an entrance where people have to pay an entrance fee. Tonight, I'm here to talk about just the part that takes place at Tahoe Park and to share a few things that we're looking at doing differently this year. We have very much partnered with Beaver Dam Lake Improvement. They do 2 different parts of this, and they are looking at adding a 3rd component. They are looking at the Great Beaver Dam Paddle Fest is being moved to this weekend because what we want to emphasize as a group is the water. We want to emphasize what makes Beaver Dam special, and that is Beaver Dam Lake. So we're going to be doing several activities for them as well as with us in conjunction to the event. Highlight every year. Well, last year I've been very lucky because we've had the Beaver Dam Marching Band and people absolutely love that. But that is a second to the fireworks. The fireworks is by far the biggest draw that we have at this event. Our funding, since I've been involved with this, has not gone up at all. And as we all know, our costs have gone up significantly over the years. The person who does our fireworks say we do less money towards the fireworks than any other group he's got in this area. And if we want to have a decent show, a significant show, we have to increase the funding. Now I've got less money coming in. I've got no way of taking money from people that come there. And so we're here to talk to you and make a formal request to ask for 20, it's been 12 for the last many years, to ask a formal request to move this to $25,000. Keeping in mind that this is the single biggest event that the city of Beaver Dam has in terms of for the community. I am a big believer, I come from business and industry, is the absolute last thing I want to do is hurt the chamber. What I'm going to ask you for, I do not want to hurt the chamber in any way, shape, or fashion. But this year you've got another hotel that has opened up, and you're going to see some tourism dollars that are going to be generated that you have not had in past years. We're hoping that there should be enough additional funds, again, so the chamber is not impacted, that you would consider allocating to Best Dam Fest to make sure it continues and to make sure it is a quality project. Because even at $25,000, that still leaves us with well more than double that we still need to raise. So we wanted to officially ask the council before they came to remember that we are the not-for-profit. We are not here to make money. We are here to be a service to this community and asking you officially to support us in what we are doing. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Is there anyone else that would like to come and speak to council this evening? Yes. Hi, Sarah.
Am I still on?
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. So most of you know me. I'm Sarah Kernoyer, the library director at the Beaver Dam Community Library. I'm here this evening for two purposes. One, to express the thanks and appreciation of both the library board, the library staff, and members of our community for the council's vote to prioritize and recognize the need to fund the library's roof replacement project. It's a big project. We have a kickoff meeting coming on Wednesday. We're really ecstatic about that. And we know that the city has many needs. And so we wanted to make sure that we let you know that we're aware and appreciative of that prioritization. So thank you for that. The second reason, and I'll leave a card with Ms. Farron that was signed by the members of the library board. I would also like to invite you to our dementia-friendly ribbon cutting ceremony and reception tomorrow evening at 4 p.m. The library was certified by Dementia Friendly Dodge as a dementia-friendly organization. We'll be making some small changes that can make a really big difference in people's lives, both those who are having affected by dementia themselves or those who are caregiving or otherwise involved with them. So I'll pass those around. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Is there anyone else in the audience? Very good. Come forward and let, if you could share your name and address, please.
I'm Kevin Lipke. My address is 221 Park Avenue here in Beaver Dam. So just a hop, skip, and a jump away. And I am on the library board of trustees. So I am also here to thank you for passing the roof project. The library has been a big deal in my life. My mother used to work there as a part-time clerk. In high school, that was my part-time job, working at the library, and it's kind of my connection to the city. And I was really reflecting on one of my earliest memories is I'm actually at an age where I was just able to remember going to the old library, the Williams Free Library, before the new library was built. And now the library is not so new, and I'm thankful that you've recognized the need for the roof. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing. And thanks for your service on the board. Appreciate that. Anyone else that would like to
Would it be all right?
speak just from the audience, please? Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. Don't know if this is still on.
Yep, you're on. Just make sure that you hold it kind of close. Yeah,
Yeah.
then we're sure to be able to hear you.
My name's Mark. I'm not going to give my my address, but I will confirm that I do live in the city of Beaver Dam.
Can you share your last name, please?
Unfortunately, I can't do that either because I also know that there's a member in the room here who followed me after the last meeting that I was at, and I don't feel comfortable giving that, especially with the issue that I'm going to be addressing now. So there are two issues that I want to address with the council. The first is the adoption and implementation of flock safety cameras. You may have seen these in the past week. You may have seen me this past week bringing awareness to these cameras. If not, I hope the number of people who have asked me what they are after reading my sign saying you've been flocked decided to email, call, or interrupt you while you were out to eat and ask, why do we have these devices? At the beginning of this meeting, everyone took the Pledge of Allegiance. I believe it may have been too long since the council has read the Constitution. In this particular case, I'm referring to the Fourth Amendment. If you're a little hazy on it, I'll read it for you. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, in particular, describing the place to be searched and the person or thing to be seized. For those on the council who do not know what flock cameras are, they're automatic license plate readers, commonly called ALPRs by law enforcement. With these cameras, every time a vehicle drives by, a picture is taken, capturing the plate number, and also being able to identify the make and model and other identifiable information, like bumper, any kind of accident information, bumper stickers, things of that nature. Their plate is then sent to a database owned and controlled by Flock Safety. Now, if for any reason the police have entered a plate into their system as to be on the lookout, and that plate drives by, it will be flagged and units can be sent or will be sent to get them. You could have broken no law other than driving by that camera, and you could be pulled over, and the justification will basically be that they got a hit. What you should also know is that Flock says that it keeps this data, which is every photograph that you drive by this camera, for 30 days, but that's not really set in stone yet. This data will then be downloaded by the agency using it and kept for as long as it chooses. I think everyone should be concerned by that. Not like there has ever been a data breach and tons of personal information has ever been released to the masses, in turn destroying countless lives. Now with these images, they can track everywhere you have gone for as far back as their desires and data will allow them. The police can also create their own hot list for investigative purposes. That's a nice way of saying if you make the police mad, they can create their own nice separate folder just for you. Don't believe me? Search Bay Village Police Department adds flock camera systems on YouTube and hear it directly from Sergeant Edward Chapman. Imagine this, members of the council. You are no longer on this council and you have now become unpopular with those in blue. If they wanted, they would be able to see exactly when and where you went on November 5th. And they didn't even need to get a warrant. Good thing you have the Fourth Amendment to protect you. Or don't. Now, I voiced my concern about these cameras at the Police and Fire Commission meeting on August 8th of this month. I was told by President John Othauer, I hope I pronounced his name correctly, and apologies if I didn't. It's our discussion, so number one, we're going to continue our discussion. This is not an open meeting to ask a question in, so we appreciate your concern, and we will take it into account. Don't take my word for it, though. Confirm it with the mayor and the two chiefs that are sitting in this room. The mayor was sitting next to me when this statement was made. Due to the tone in John's voice, I didn't believe that he would actually take my concern into consideration. I was proven correct in this, as I recently saw a new flock camera installed by the Quick Trip that is at the on-ramp to 151 by the Fleet Farm. In an attempt to bring awareness to my community, I decided to go out and do a little my own community outreach. I'll appear to print a few extra sheets. That's what happens when you can print a few extra sheets. Apologies. I went to many businesses and spoke to many people and informed them about what was going on with these automatic license plate readers. To my not so overly shockingly surprise, I did not meet anyone who was in favor of automatic license plate readers in Beaver Dam. Many people even asked, why do we need them? To which I cannot give a logical reason. My biggest concern from all of this is that the cloak and dagger method that was used to implement these into our city. If you search for Flock on the city's websites, you will get a grand total of 3 hits. The first is on December 13th, 2022, when Detective Coons gave a presentation on Flock camera systems. The second was on March 14th, 2023, which mentioned it being used for 2 separate incidents. The third time was on July 11th, 2023, and was discussed the signing of the contract with Flock camera systems to lock in a cost. And at this point, they already installed on our streets. The council should be reminded the top 5 adult citations for the 2022 citation stats for the city of Beaver Dam were 1, operating after suspension, 143. 2, operating the motor vehicle without insurance, 99. 3, operating without a valid driver's license, 96. 4, mandatory seatbelt requirements, 93. And 5, non-registration of vehicle, 91. All of these are victimless crimes and do not justify a Flock camera. I would have thought something that would impact the liberties of the body politic would have been discussed in the Common Council, especially since it's we who elect you. Fox 6 recently did a story about the abuse by the Milwaukee police using these cameras in their city, and I encourage all of you to watch that story. The ACLU has also raised concerns about the use of these types of devices. Should we just ignore the warning bells being rung and say yes to these intrusive and warrantless devices in the name of safety and security? I believe Benjamin Franklin had the best response to that question. Those who would give up essential liberties to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. If this council decides that it is in the best interest of the body politic of Beaver Dam to keep and increase the number of Flock cameras, I propose a new ordinance be created. Don't worry, it's simple. The police and governing body wishes to have the ability to track us. I propose that 1, all Beaver Dam police, fire, and rescue units to be equipped with GPS tracking devices. 2, the elected officials and those members of board and commissions shall have a GPS tracking device attached to all vehicles registered to their household for the duration of said position. 3, the GPS data shall be free and easily accessible on the City of Beaver Dam website. And 4, all elected officials and board and commission members who attempt to remove, or attempt to in any way interfere with the functionality of the GPS unit shall be fined $5,000 and removed from said position. They shall be banned for 5 years for holding any elected position or board and commission position. Nor shall they be considered for employment from any position funded by the City of Beaver Dam. Any police or fire and rescue personnel who attempts to remove, or attempts in any way to interfere with the functionality of the GPS unit shall be fined $5,000 and placed on unpaid leave during the investigation, which shall be conducted by the Common Council and not the police or fire department. If evidence is shown of violation, the accused shall be charged per Wisconsin statute 946.72, tampering with public records and notices. I don't believe these to be unreasonable requests. After all, If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear by passing and implementing this ordinance. This would create a greater safety and security for the body politic of Beaver Dam. It would also show just how truly dedicated the police, fire, and governing body is to transparency. I hope I have shed some light on this issue and that this wasn't really the first time you were all informed of the implementation of flock cameras in the city of Beaver Dam. If so, this is the biggest case of the head not knowing what the hands are doing. This brings me to my second issue. There was a proposal to reduce the number of alderpersons down from 14 to 7 last meeting. The reason behind this proposal was that other neighboring communities have boards the size of that size who have a greater population than the city of Beaver Dam, which has 16,582 according to the July 1st, 2022 census. With our current council, each one of you represents 1,203. At these larger communities, each alderperson represents 2,153. Thank you, Mayor, for giving me those figures last meeting. At the current rate of $325 per month, since you didn't pass the ordinance to increase your pay to $425 per month, which I agree with, or pass the amendment to decrease your pay to $300 per month, which I also agree with. So thank you, Mayor, for breaking the tie and voting no on that. But also thank your alderpersons out for having the courage to propose that amendment. That means that each person pays 27 cents a month. I don't think that's too bad for representation. If there is one thing people would not vote for, it's less representation. And unless we're voting to eliminate all representation. And by that, I mean all government. And I don't think we want that. I believe that what we have currently works, though there is always room for improvement, such as what I just talked about. The reduction of all the persons, I believe, at its core is a matter of control. As was stated in the last meeting, it is a power grab. It is much easier to get a majority vote when you only have to get 4 votes instead of 8. I know many things get passed with 4 support, but it is nice to hear a no uttered when appropriate, and there are many times it is. If you choose to go down this path and reduce the number to 7, then all you do is restrict the voices of the constituents and allow their voices to fall on deaf ears on issues that impact them every day. Should you choose to do this, I want each one of you, especially those of you who vote yes, to go door to door in the districts you currently represent and let each household know that you voted to limit their voice at this council. Is there anyone here and now willing to make an agreement that they would do it? I hope I have made my point clear. And this will save you many conversations with the city attorney. I know I don't like talking to lawyers. And many wasted hours on research. Thank you for your time and consideration on these matters.
Thank you, Mark.
Before you spoke. Point of order. Point of order. Isn't this for the public only and you're not supposed to be rebutting anyone? I'm going to speak as a resident. I'm going to speak as a resident because this is a topic that's not on the agenda. And I'm going to speak as a resident. It's hard to get 8 people to agree to anything. It's even harder to get 14, right? But I think that's a good thing. When I think of Beaver Dam, I think of representation at the neighborhood level. And that again is a good thing. Looking at our city versus other cities and how they run their governments, we can say, the city of Beaver Dam can say, we have one of the most representative governments in the state, right? When we look at the size of our city, how we're set up, we have one of the most, if not the most representative governments in Wisconsin. And I look around and I see people that represent working class men and women, younger generations, older generations,
I mean, we are representative of the city. And that is a good thing. And how alders can connect with their neighborhoods, how we do things, you can't match it, right? If you go to 7 or decrease the number, you're just going to take away from representation. So 14 alders best represent the city and we get the job done. But this is what I want to talk about. It based on the gasps we heard at the last meeting, the public thinks we're paid too much, right? They gasped when they heard the theoretical hourly rate for what alders make. And that it's one glimpse at what the public thinks, right? Public thinks we're overpaid. And that's backed up by data, right? So I looked into the data from the municipality, and it, on average, when you're looking at the cost for representation per resident, representation in Beaver Dam is 51% higher than our peers. 51% higher, right? So what can we do? Well, there's one easy solution, right? We decrease our pay to be more in line with our peers. Kind of a spur moment of the thing, 2 weeks ago, and we got half of the alders to agree to that, right? I think if we have more discussion, right? We have more time to talk about this. We can learn why 6 alders, half that were present that night, thought that it was a good idea to decrease pay. So that is my request as a citizen, that we take this seriously, that we take a hard look at pay. And really think, is it a good thing to be 51% more expensive for representation, where we could just decrease it a little bit and get in line with our peers? And I was happy to also get a glimpse tonight from a resident and hear their support for the size of our 14 alder body. So I'll leave you with that, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zopp. Is there anyone else that would like to speak this evening from the public in present here with us? Anybody online? Anyone present or online that would like to speak to council this evening? Okay, very good. We'll move on to agenda item number 4, time for our announcements. I'll share a few things. Just want to thank everybody that attended and supported the Dodge County Fair this past week. Great attendance, and want to also thank everyone that stopped at the Rotary booth or volunteered and worked there. Those are fundraised dollars that in the Kiwanis also that take tickets to have people go in. Those are all events and things that our civic organizations do to help support nonprofits in our community. So we thank everyone in those groups and that helped them to accomplish that. As a reminder, Tuesday nights are the farmers market, 4 to 7 p.m., as well as Saturday mornings. On this coming Saturday is the Beaver Dam. I'm sorry, I'm going to look at that because I think it's next. Nope, it is. The 26th is the Lake Improvement Association meeting in the morning at 8:30 a.m. Is that correct, Mr. Wassell? It's in Randolph though, and it's held where? Okay, very good. Thank you. If anyone would like to attend that, you could speak with President Wassell otherwise as well. August 30th, we have the Chamber Corn Roast from 5 to 7:30 p.m. That'll be held at Tower Lanes. As a reminder, September 4th is Monday, Labor Day, and there will be no council meeting that day. And then in front of you on your desk, you have a paper copy of the evaluation form for the city administrator. If you're not comfortable filling out the electronic version of that, you can use a paper copy. If you are still able with, and interested in the electronic version, I'll resend that out. If you haven't completed, please do that and complete that by the end of this week. So any other announcements anyone would like to share? Okay, we'll move on then to the city administrator's report.
Just two things to note. One, I had communicated this via an email to the council, but it's worthy bringing to attention to the council members this evening. Staff are working on the ATV, UTV signs to prepare getting those posted throughout the community according to DOT standards. We did run into a bit of a hiccup because we're going through DOT. DOT then wanted an opportunity to review and comment on the ordinance, which was a bit of a surprise. DNR has also re-reviewed the ordinance and they have some comments as well. And so you'll most likely see some amendments to that ordinance coming back to the council. We are working with our legal counsel to at least get DOT moving forward with a sign plan so that we can expedite that process. But I wanted to at least report that because I think it's a public interest, and I also don't want any assumptions that staff are delaying this process. The second thing, I just want to give a shout out to the library. I actually participated in the training that they had on dementia. And it was actually very enlightening to see a video that kind of tried to establish the perspective of somebody that has dementia and to think and be empathetic or empathic for individuals with that disease. And so I just want to applaud the library and their efforts in this regard. They serve every demographic in this community, and I'm appreciative of their efforts to make sure that it's a safe and an inclusive environment. And so I just want to express that and encourage anyone to come and attend that event tomorrow. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Nathan. Moving on to agenda item number 6, disposition of minutes of the common council meeting of August 7th, 2023. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Alderperson Zopp. Is there a second? Alderperson Yudz.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? All those in favor of approval of the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions?
May.
Thank you. And Joe, you abstained as well. Thank you. 2 abstentions then. Okay. And Perkins, did you abstain as well?
I did not. I was probably delayed.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 7, our communications. Do we have any communications, Ms. Farren?
There are no communications this evening.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda number 8, our bills. I'd entertain a motion to approve the bills. Alderperson,
I make
Mark.
a motion to approve the bills.
thank you, Ms. Mark. Is there a second? Alderperson Wassell.
I second that motion.
Thank you. Questions? Comments? All those in favor of approving the bills, please signify by saying aye.
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 Sorry, I forget about you guys. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, very good. Thank you. We'll move on to ordinances.
Ordinance number 8-2023, an ordinance amending chapters 2, 6, 14, 22, 34, 42, 46, 54, 57, 58, 62, 66, 67, 68, and 70 of the Beaver Dam Municipal Code to provide uniformity with references to committees and staff. This is a first reading.
Because this is a first reading, we'll hear it again then at our September meeting.
Ordinance number 9-2023, an ordinance amending chapters 14 and 30 of the Beaver Dam Municipal Code to establish Beaver Dam as a delegated agent for building inspection and plan review. This is the first and second reading.
Because this is a first and second reading, I'll open it up for public comment. Is there anyone in the presence of us here this evening or online that would like to speak regarding ordinance number 9-2023? Anyone online or here in the audience that would like to speak regarding ordinance number 9? And again, anyone that would like to speak regarding ordinance number 9-2023, this would be your opportunity to do that. All right, hearing no discussion from the public, I'll bring it back to council for deliberation. Comments, questions regarding ordinance number 9?
If I can just make one comment, this ordinance is in particular, the effort is to put in place E-Plan. You guys have seen or saw in past meetings that contract come in which instead of plans going to state review, we would be contracting with E-Plan to provide review of larger scale commercial projects. And typically, we would go through the normal process of a first and second reading, but in this event, there is interest in being able to utilize E-Plan services sooner rather than later with potential development and so forth within the city. And so hence the reason for the first and second reading this evening.
Okay, any comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, please call the roll.
Anderson,
Aye.
Eppenfeld,
Aye.
Burnett.
Aye.
Burnett,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Hanson,
Aye.
Keel,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Perkins,
Aye.
Wissau,
Aye.
Yuds,
Aye.
Zap.
Aye.
Okay, very good. Ordinance passes. We'll move on to resolutions.
Resolution number 68-2023, a resolution amending the downtown redevelopment district map.
Thank you, Ms. Farren. I'd entertain a motion to approve resolution 68 or discuss. Alderperson Wissau. Thank you. Is there a second? Alderperson Fisher, thank you. John, do you want to speak to this, please?
Good evening. For those of you that don't know, John Moosreiner, City Building Inspections Department. A little background on this map that you're looking at currently. There was a nice project from Thirsty Beaver that came to our department for the grants improvement that we have through DRC. And it was a complete facade remodel, but it was just outside of the DRC map. So that kind of led into the DRC then discussing, do we amend the map? How do we amend the map? Where do we amend the map? And currently what you're looking at is the map that the DRC would like to see amended. So they could include 4 businesses. I will say out of those 4 businesses, though, 2 of them have said they don't want to be in this map amendment. Other than that, I mean, that's basically it. It's literally the black line is what we currently have, and you know, the red is what they're proposing. Madison Street is it's a gateway street, so it is nice to see some of those businesses just out of the reach currently to be able to apply for some grants. They'd also have to follow all of the DRC guidelines as well. So it would come with that.
Questions for John? Questions for anyone? Yes, Alderperson Anderson.
I guess my only thought is in some of the supporting documents we got, it sure looked to me like the recommendation was to leave the district as it was, but to open up the facade grant program to the entire city. Especially now that it's using ARPA funds, which makes 1,000% more sense to me. Unfortunately, you have to have borders somewhere. I mean, you have to draw the line to a district. So you move it now. Next, a business a couple blocks down the road wants to be in. So then you just keep moving and moving and moving and moving. Whereas really, I assume they're just after facade money. They're just after free money from the residents. So why don't we just solve the issue and make the facade program be citywide? Why don't we just do that? I don't think we need to be moving these boundaries. Personally, it just doesn't make sense to me. If it's only for the facade program, let's just adjust at the facade program.
Thank you, Alderperson Anderson. Alderperson Zop.
So I was wondering if the committee had spoken with the Moonlight Bar or Maury's Bar, because they are similar businesses that are practically next door to the Thirsty Beaver.
We did. This was round 2 of the map adjustment. The first round did include them. And after the first round of the map amendment, we then brought in the business owners to talk to them to explain the DRC, what they do. And they elected they didn't want to be in it as well. So then the second amendment to the map came through is the one you see.
Do you have written or I don't want that to come, I don't want this to come back on the committee or the city. So is there written communication from the Moonlight Bar and Maury saying we don't want to join this district?
I mean, they were not written, but they were at the meeting. One of
Okay.
them was at the meeting.
Thank you.
Alderperson Anderson.
I guess my issue is along the same lines as that. So I believe that they didn't want to be in there, because why would you want to be forced into a mower controlling district? So if that's the case, which 2 businesses did not want to belong to this? And they should be removed from the map. If we're allowing 2 other businesses to opt out of this redistricting of their area, why aren't you allowing the other 2 to opt out? I guess is my question. I have a lot of problems with this. It doesn't smell right whatsoever. But if it's just for facade program, just make for the facade program. Why are we redoing brownies, forcing people in, letting people opt in, opt out when they want to? It just reeks of favoritism. That's it. Thank you.
Alderperson Mark.
Well, and again, I'm reading the same information that we got in our packet. My understanding is the simplest and smallest way to deal with this is as a council to give ARPA funds. It's a one-time do this now. We have the ARPA funds. We don't have to change any maps. We don't have to change any facade requirements. We have the money. They would like it. As a council, we give them, we can decide to give them money, and then we move forward without any permanent changes to any of the programs we currently have in place. Isn't that the recommendation that was given to us?
Just one point of clarification. The money has already been allocated or designated, so this isn't establishing more money. It's utilizing the funds that currently exist. But what it would be authorizing the DRC, it would be telling the DRC that you can apply this program using the ARPA funds that you've been granted across, you can use your judgment across the entire city. And one of the recommendations and I think the DRC would be respectful of this, is you're not going to necessarily give ARPA funds for facade programs to like big box stores or strip malls, right? You're going to focus it on down, or what I would call neighborhood commercial properties that are, very close to the right of way, close to the street. I can think of a few right on Center, or also on Spring Street, right? There are neighborhood commercial businesses that have a downtown kind of facade or feel. but they're not connected to the downtown. Having said that, I think the DRC, they were fairly familiar with what was being recommended and proposed.
Correct.
I think that in their mind, and I was not there, so I don't mean to put words into their mouth, and those that were might be able to address this. But from what I understood, John, from your communication, the feeling was they felt it would be simpler to just adjust the map boundaries.
Correct. That's what they thought. Yeah.
But legally, and I had communications with Larry, there would be nothing, either way, you're hitting the objective of the person who initiated the inquiry. It's just two different approaches.
Yes, Alderperson Wassell.
Well, as a member of the Downtown Revitalization Committee, we looked at the reasoning to stretch the map as this is really a gateway to the community. It's a gateway to downtown. It's very close to downtown. And so we wanted to offer this to these businesses. And I guess from my understanding, you can only go within a half mile out from downtown. I know.
On TID funds.
Well, that's what I
So
thought too. But
So the TID funds, we utilize the TID funds, right, for the downtown, which required, that's why I think additional funds were solicited using ARPA dollars. And so the ARPA dollars would not fall under the same rules or restrictions as the TID, but yeah, we can leave it at that.
Yes.
and then another little different thought. If we don't do a map and include a block, because what we were trying to do is include a block. And we tried to include the lakeside of Madison Street also. The two businesses kind of resisted and the rest were residential, so it didn't make any sense. So to not have the map extended and to isolate a business and say, let's support them with a bundle of money, I think you're opening a big can of worms. I would never suggest that. A lot of businesses that could use the money all over town.
The requirement, though, just to be clear, what was being recommended is that in order to qualify for the money, you would still have to comply with the DRC, their standards, right? You wouldn't just be free money. They would still need to, the DRC would be making a judgment call on that they met the standards. So just to be clear that it wasn't just opening up Pandora's box and anyone could apply and would be allowed. There would still be
Using the design guidelines.
right.
Alderperson Mark.
And just a question, so if we extend the map, the businesses that, all the businesses in that district, whether they want to be in that district or not, if they in the future want to make a change to their facade, they have to follow the DRC guidelines, is that
Mhm.
correct?
Mhm.
So that's why they're objecting, is they don't want it in the future to have to abide by those guidelines.
Alderperson Yads.
I would really like to know exactly which two don't want to be in it. And I kind of agree with Ken. If we're going to open this up, make it citywide. It's tax dollars. Somewhere along the line, these businesses paid into those tax dollars. So it should come back to them.
Yes, Alderperson. Zhao.
I'll go out in the limb here and make a motion to amend that we approve the use of only ARPA money for the applicant, but deny the request to change the district boundaries. So it would be, I guess, open for anyone, right? We would allow ARPA money and only ARPA money to be used for applicants and project the boundary.
Okay, the motion's on the floor. Is there a second? Alderperson Anderson.
That's correct. So that's, you need to clarify your motion, whether it's the ARPA funds in there or
it
ARPA
is-
funds that are still available.
The ARPA funds held by the DRC, right? So what I would want to avoid is if there's an influx of new TID money, that TID money would have to follow the same rules within the boundary. But we are talking about a one-time influx of ARPA money held by the DRC, made available for anyone, any business that wants to subject itself to the rules of the DRC, that they be allowed to apply and obtain if approved. And I'll trust you guys to make that call. We've trusted you this whole time to make these calls. So any other questions on the amendment?
We do have a second. Go ahead.
I guess my question, so you're saying is that the property that wants it isn't gonna have to be a part of the district or anything, they're just gonna have access to these funds. So moving forward, they're gonna benefit from these funds, but they're not gonna have to hold themselves accountable for any of the DRC's stipulations that usually come with these funds? Because I guess that's my problem with it, is because they're receiving something without having to have the opposite side of, holding themselves to the same standards of all the other people that have received from this. So essentially what I see it as is a business kind of taking away from these downtown redevelopment funds and using it for them. So pretty much we're taking back what we said that we were going to be giving the downtown redevelopment. Like, that's what it feels like to me.
So point of clarification, I think the intent, Chris, was that they would have to comply with the stipulations, the guidelines of the DRC, that if they apply for the grant, they're going to have to abide by the guidelines.
But are they being, I mean, like all the guidelines that the people who are under the DRC, have for the next, however long they're with them? I mean, are they practically under the same umbrella at that point?
Yeah, so this is a good point of clarification. Where the DRC would have teeth is they would have teeth at the moment that they issue the grant. Should in the future, that business, in this case, the Thirsty Beaver, let's say because they're not in the DRC boundaries, should in the future they want to do something, they want to do something completely different, paint the building pink, and I don't know, like I don't think that's against necessarily, but you get my point, is that in the future, DRC wouldn't have the authority. They'd have authority at the moment that the grant was issued.
Right, and that's what I'm understanding, and that's what I have an issue with, because they don't have that future authority, which everybody else does. So they're playing under different rules. So it just doesn't feel right to me.
Only comment that I would make, just as a point, is that the DRC at that moment, if a business has to put in 50%, right? They're gonna put in their 50% to that facade. So they're making an investment of their own. Would it clean up facades? Yes, it would. And so I think the intent of the grant would still be accomplished and would still fall within the DRC guidelines. It wouldn't be a permanent, they wouldn't permanently fall under the guidelines.
Couple questions I would have is, do we want to separate and put additional ARPA funds specifically just for businesses that you're talking about community-wide? And the funds, I agree with you in saying, Alderperson Olson, and saying those ARPA funds were specific to the downtown facade improvement program. So that's what you had designated before, I guess, are my initial thoughts. Also, some of the discussion on, does John have the capacity to oversee the whole community? And just, and dispersing these funds, or, right now we have a controlled area that it's a lot of work. You have a lot of follow-up with these businesses and, so anyway.
There would probably be an influx. However, I mean, currently, I think right now there's roughly $150,000 left. So,
It's not a huge amount of money.
no, I'm
No.
thinking that would last me, without this, I was probably thinking another 8 months or so. This would probably shorten that lifespan.
Yeah. And again, we could look at further, further programs, further funding, but, so anyway, just, there are a number of other opportunities that Nathan and I have been meeting with businesses about that, those funds. Yes, go ahead, Alderperson Wassell.
I guess the other question I poses then is, if we approve this one and then there is several more, who decides, does this become part of DRC's responsibility? Then if it's not in the downtown area? That's, okay.
As long as they meet your guidelines, right? You're gonna make the judgment. Yeah.
Yeah, I would anticipate it would be no different than the downtown businesses, how they provide the applications and appropriate photos and whatnot.
Any other comments or questions? Otherwise,
I will put John on the spot. John,
yes, that's good.
because what I don't want the takeaway is that this was solely city administrator Nathan's idea. I think when we had originally, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but as far as a thought process for,
Yeah, originally, like it kind of brought up earlier, this was the avenue we wanted to go down, was to kind of open it up. The DRC committee went back to just the map amendment, but yeah, we were in support of doing the opening it up because of its ARPA funds. The only thing is, like I said, it gets, who do you say no to and who do you say yes to? The big box stores, the big malls. That would have to be kind of a DRC decision, which it can be a little gray, saying no to somebody who may or may not. So that's why they had kind of went towards the map amendment. I still support the other way because it is easier. Like I said, we do a map amendment here, and now another person wants to get in, we do another, now we got all these map amendments and it gets really confusing. I'd rather just keep the same map that we've always had and open it up.
Okay, so,
Can I
yes,
ask
go
John
ahead.
one more question? If a big box store asks for money, where would they fall into your criteria? How would they be ranked against a local business with dire need? Is there a need metric or a blight metric? How would? Yeah.
You gotta meet the guidelines, and I think everyone's kind of case by case in the scenario we're talking about now. If it's a good project and it's blighted, I think it would meet the merits.
And just to bring, like, you would probably have Shopko that would want to apply, the old Shopko.
yeah, but again, the ability to necessarily conform with the guidelines that the DRC, I don't think that they would meet it.
It would be tough for the big box stores to meet the guidelines.
Yeah.
It would
One other comment, just as far as process goes, I know that there was a motion to amend the resolution. It might be more appropriate to send this back to the DRC, have them, you can give them direction, but have them craft a resolution and vote on it. They may not want to do what you're directing. I don't think I think that given the thought process, I think they would still move forward with some type of proposal, but it may be better not to tell them what to do. It may be better to say, hey, we didn't like the idea of amending the map. Now you haven't voted on that yet, so I don't mean to put make you decide a vote, but does that make sense, Larry? Would you comment differently?
I think there's a lot of meat to put on that bone and it would be a good thing for them to discuss.
Alderperson Olson.
Do we still have funds in the ARPA funds? I mean, do we have still some out there? Because I guess personally, I would like to see us create a separate fund. Like, I don't like the fact that we're taking these out of the DRC. Like, I would, if we're gonna start opening this up to other businesses in the community, I think it's awesome. But again, then we're completely gonna be draining that piggy bank, which was I always thought was something that's gonna carry us forward for a couple of years and when something we're trying to, drain as fast as we could. So again, I'm all about opening it up for more businesses in the community, but I guess I'd like to see it for a separate fund because I don't want to see that one being drained personally.
Yes, Alderperson Anderson.
Am I remembering something wrong, or did I not read an email or a memo very recently stating that these grant fundings were not being used up fast enough and we were looking at additional funds or something? So I don't think they're necessarily flying off the shelves right now.
Well,
To where we
according
need
to
But
Mr.
I believe it was your memo. Or it was
So,
someone.
so to clarify,
Find it.
I can,
Someone said that they were not.
yeah, so I can
Going
speak, I can maybe provide some, I think I know what you're referring to. So the DRC was I don't know if the DRC was responsible for 2 grant programs, but there are 2 grant programs for your downtown. One is a facade program, which is 20,000 up to 20,000 per property. And then there was another grant program, 5,000 for new businesses. That program has not been utilized as readily. It just hasn't met a need. It hasn't fulfilled a gap. And so the applicants for that program isn't that significant. The facade program, though, I think has been fairly popular and has been fairly used. And I think, we have $150,000 remaining. Do we have fear that it will not be utilized by the time ARPA funds need to be complete? I think the track that we're going, they'll probably be completely used up. So hopefully I answered your question.
Yeah, I'll add that I'd say for every 15 facade grants that we do, we maybe get 1 new business grant, which is that $5,000 one. So yeah, that is definitely one that is lagging behind the facade grant.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor with this, yes, go ahead, Alderperson Lascelles.
I did want to get clarification on that, that you just commented on, because I've heard this both ways. As far as those funds, I kind of lost track of where I was going with that, but
They have to be expended by the end of 2026.
thank you. So originally, I thought that we had heard it was 2024.
No, earmarked by the end.
And then the other question was, because these are already earmarked for downtown, that they don't really count as having to use them up.
No, we still have to use them up by the
Okay,
end
well,
of
if it's,
26 and they
if
are
it's that far
earmarked.
out, they'll be gone for
Yeah.
sure. They'll
Yeah.
be gone within 6-8 months.
Right.
Thank you.
Alderperson Saab.
Real quick. So procedurally, I think I agree with Nathan, in that having made the amendment, I wish I could take it back and just defer it to the DRC, but can we change the amendment at this point? I will. Okay. Okay. Would you mind? I will withdraw.
It's a terrible decision to not do our job that we asked for. In this case, yes, I will withdraw.
Okay. Thank you. So I guess we'll go back to the original, and then would it be appropriate then to make an amendment to request the DRC reconsider their decision with thoughts on allowing opening up ARPA held money to the city? Would that be appropriate request? Or will we just?
I think that's going to confuse issues because you're still voting on the map.
Right.
And if you say you want it to go back to ARPA, you might vote yes for ARPA,
Oh,
but
right.
so you need to make a separate motion.
Maybe
I
we
would
could make a
think.
motion to table and John could take this conversation back. How
Right.
does that sound?
That's
Okay.
fine.
I'll make a motion to table until we hear back from DRC about an updated plan.
Okay, is there a second? Yes, Alderperson Anderson, thank you. So now there's any comment about tabling? Okay, we'll go ahead and call the roll, please, on tabling. If you vote yes, you say we're tabling this. If you vote no, you're saying that you're not tabling it.
Eppenfeld,
No.
Burnett,
Yes.
Burnett,
Yes.
Fisher,
No.
Hanson,
Abstain.
Keel,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Wissell,
No,
Yads,
Yes.
Zap,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Okay, resolution 68 is tabled. Thank you, John. Thanks for attending this evening. All right, moving on to resolution 69.
Resolution number 69 twenty twenty-three, a resolution authorizing the complete and final report on estimated special assessments for the Curry Street reconstruction project, Madison Street to South Center Street.
Thank you, Ms. Farren. Is there a motion on the floor to approve or discuss? Alderperson Olson,
There was
thank you.
presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Alderperson Zop. Questions, comments regarding 69? Okay, hearing none, please call the roll.
Burnett,
Yes.
Burnett,
Yes.
Fisher,
Aye.
Hanson,
Aye.
Keel,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Perkins,
Aye.
Wissell,
aye.
Yads,
Aye.
Zap,
Aye.
Anderson,
Aye.
Eppenfeld.
Aye. Thank you. Moving on to 70.
Resolution 70 twenty twenty-three was tabled at committee.
Okay, thank you.
Resolution number 71 twenty twenty-three, a resolution to appropriate a donation from the Lions Club of Beaver Dam to the Parks and Forestry Department.
Thank you, Ms. Farren. Is there a motion on the floor to approve? Yes, Alderperson Burnett. Thank you. Second by Ms. Keel. Thank you, Alderperson Keel. Comments or questions? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Burnett,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Hanson,
Aye.
Keel,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Perkins,
Aye.
Wissell,
Aye.
Yads,
Aye.
Zap,
Aye.
Anderson,
Aye.
Eppenfeld,
Aye.
Burnett.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to resolution 72.
Resolution number 72 twenty twenty-three, a resolution approving a temporary Class B license to the Beaver Dam Area Chamber of Commerce for the 2023 wine walk.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor? Alderperson Burnett.
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you. Second, Alderperson Mark. Is there any comments or questions? All right, hearing none, please call the roll.
Fisher,
Aye.
Hanson,
Aye.
Keel,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Perkins,
Aye.
Wissell,
Abstain.
Yads,
Aye.
Zap,
Aye.
Anderson,
Aye.
Eppenfeld,
Aye.
Burnett,
Aye.
Burnett.
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution passes.
Resolution number 73 twenty twenty-three, a resolution approving a temporary Class B license to St. Catherine Drexel Parish for their Fall into Fun Festival.
Thank you, Ms. Barron. Is there a motion on the floor to approve or discuss? Alderperson Burnett.
Make a motion to approve.
Second by Yunts.
Second.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Hanson,
Aye.
Keel,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Perkins,
Aye.
Wissell,
Aye.
Yads,
Aye.
Zap,
Aye.
Anderson,
Aye.
Eppenfeld,
Aye.
Burnett.
Aye.
Burnett,
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution passes. Last agenda item is adjournment. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Alderperson Burnett.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Alderperson Burnett, with a second by Wassell. Any comments or questions? All those in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. And don't forget, we do not meet September 4th. Thank you.